Wyclef, good to see you again. Welcome back to the UK.
All right, thanks for having me back.
You've been a bit of a busy boy since the last album, but let's talk about the new album. Guest appearances from Mary J. Blige, Shakira and Akon, but I have to ask you, how did the hookups come around with Norah Jones and particularly Paul Simon?
I mean, basically, Norah Jones is just the natural musicianship in me. Me on guitar, her on piano.
Sure.
You know, we had got together a few years ago when it went down for Hotel Katrina, and we had did this song called Any Other Day. And in this particular format, in this album, the song just seemed perfect.
Sure.
So I always just record. I never like record specifically for albums. People go in the studio when they have to do recordings for albums. So
sure.
I always have a lot of material just sitting there,
sure.
and then I record new material. But sometimes always go back to a song that could have been sitting there for 2 years or
sure.
3 years.
And the hookup with Paul Simon, how did that come around?
Paul Simon, basically, I went to a charity at his house,
sure.
and shook his hand, and me and my brother was just working on this record, but it had a real hardcore sound to it. Before I went to Paul Simon's house, after shaking his hand at the thing, I came back to the studio because it wasn't far. It was right
sure.
in New York. And the guitar part just kept haunting me. It was going do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And I told my brother, I said, man, all right, let's start the track from scratch again. We're going to approach it from an acoustic level, but I didn't tell him which idea I had yet who I was going to put on it.
Sure.
And after we did it, it just sounded right. And I was like, all right, man, we got to go get Paul Simon on it now. And it was like, yo, Paul Simon. Paul Simon don't even do features with himself. You know what I'm saying? How you going to do a feature with you? You know what I'm saying? So put in that, I guess, that historical call, that musician's call that will be, you know, forever documented.
Sure.
And I remember, you know, as a kid, you know, saying, man, how am I going to get Paul Simon here? He gets on the phone. And I said, Paul, listen, man, I'm working on this song, and I need help with these lyrics. You know what I'm saying? Because I figured I'd approach it like that, opposed to saying, I want to get you on a track, because I didn't think it was going to happen. So he was coming and he was like, yo, you want me to bring my guitar? And I was like, whoa. I said, yeah, man, bring your guitar. Got real excited, told everybody, yo, Paul Simon come to the studio, you know, clean everything up. And then by the time Paul got there, everything was clean, basically. And it did not look like a rapper studio. They hit everything, you know what I'm saying? And we sit in front of the booth and started playing the record for him. But before I played the record, Paul Simon's such a genius. You know, I pulled the lyrics and he's looking at the lyrics and he's like, maybe this could be this, maybe that could be that. And he's like, do you got a backtrack for this thing? I was like, yeah, actually, I do. Played him the backtrack. His son was in the studio. And then he just said, well, maybe this part might want to sing this like that. And he was like, when heaven picks you up, so ain't got no chance, you know. And I was like, man, Paul, you know, it'd be really cool if you sang that part, you know. And the rest is history.
Wicked, man. What a lovely story to go with it. Music-wise, you've got to be probably the most open-minded black musician that's ever walked this planet. I mean, every angle you come from has got such an array of distinctive style, and your albums come out that way. Can we expect the same thing from the new album, the reggae sound, the calypso sounds, the R&B sounds? Because you just come with it, and it is such an eclectic sound that encompasses black music.
Yeah. Well, for me, you know, I always fight that through the years since I came